Social clubbers, what it do though? What's going on, man? Welcome back to the show where you know everybody's got a voice right here at the Social Club. I'm your host, Serg, and I'm coming to y'all today as it's been a pretty long weekend, man. A long weekend of March Madness, a lot of upsets, a lot of brackets that have been broken. I'd have had probably 7 parlays, missed by a leg right now, so I'm ready to strangle March Madness and everything college basketball personally. So that's why I'm not going to talk about that today. What I want to talk about are the last 2 weeks of the NFL free agency, because there's been some wins, there's been some losses, there's been some pretty crazy moves happening in the trenches, and I won't say any organizational names just yet, but we'll get into the thick of all of it. But before we get into all that, guys, go ahead and smash that subscribe button down below. Make sure you turn on your notifications. Follow us on every platform you can find. That's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. You get the deal of it. The kid and caboodle, man. Follow the kid and caboodle, because we've got so much more content coming for you still with March Madness as we approach the NFL draft and a bunch of other great things that'll be in the mix of there too. So more content on the way, but for today, let's get right into it. Now, what I'm going to be doing today, I'm going to go through my top 10 teams that I think won free agency, why they won free agency, and how I think they set themselves up incredibly for not only the NFL draft, but the upcoming NFL season. Number 10, we've got my Kansas City Chiefs, and I'm sure this surprises a lot of you guys. As you know, I love my Chiefs through and through. But there were some other teams that made some pretty significant roster moves, but I had to keep them in my top 10 because we did exactly what we needed to do on the offensive side of the ball, and that was give Patrick Mahomes a weapon in the backfield. Not only did we give him 1, we gave him 2. We got K9 in the backfield now, coming from Seattle off of a Super Bowl MVP, mind you. That was a hell of a move. It's still probably one of the biggest moves in free agency we've seen so far. I know that he'll be able to relieve some of that pressure off of Patrick Mahomes in the backfield. As we all saw last year, Patrick Mahomes was, I'm pretty sure, our leading rusher out of our running back room, which isn't supposed to happen when you have a dual threat quarterback. I wouldn't even say Patrick is really a dual threat quarterback. He just got pocket mobility. But not only did we add K9, we also went scooped up Amari Demercado out of Arizona, and he had a great year himself too. He's not a K9 by any means, but he's absolutely a great RB2. And I'm very excited to see what he's going to bring to this offense. So I think between the two of them, we're going to have quite the versatility coming out of the backfield as to where we don't have to lean on the receiving room so heavily. That has not been addressed as of yet. We also got some quarterback assistance for when Patrick Mahomes is not starting next year. I repeat, I do not believe he will start. I kind of pray he doesn't start. I have this deepening fear that he's going to try to start anyway because it's Patrick Mahomes. But with the recent pickup of Justin Fields, I think we can at least let him rest, weeks 1 through 5, 1 through 6, whatever might be necessary. The thing is, I don't need Justin Fields to be Superman. He doesn't have to be Patrick Mahomes. He can just be Justin Fields. I think that this is a great signing for the Chiefs. This is low risk. He's got high potential for production. We've seen spurts of Justin Fields be a good quarterback in the NFL. We've just seen more spurts of him not. But the thing is, I'm looking at it like with this duo in the backfield, Justin Fields at the helm, I think we can get pretty creative with some wildcat, maybe some option plays. It really comes down to what Andy wants to run, and I don't know what the hell Andy gonna run, if I'm being honest with you. But my Madden and my college football mind tells me triple option all day. But we'll see how that all shakes out. And I'm also a big fan of the pickup of, Kyrus Tonga, Alohi Gilman. Kyrus, I think he plugs that middle perfectly well. I think Gilman's going to fit into Spag's defenses and his mass coverages and everything tremendously. It's a very versatile safety we picked up with that kid. However, I do have some concerns with the rest of the team. And I think that as we get closer to the draft, we've got the picks. It's just going to be a matter of how strategical, how tactical can we be with these picks? Because I'm going to tell you right now, we need wide receivers. more desperately, we need cornerbacks. We lost Trent McDuffie. We lost Jalen Watson. Then we lost Brian Cook at safety. I like we picked up Gilman to fill in that position, but I would still like to see some fresh talent or, some fresh backfield get in there as well too. But god damn it, we need cornerbacks. I know we picked up that guy out of Miami, but he didn't even play last year. I honestly don't even, I've seen any film on him. I don't know if he's good, if he's bad, if this is a pick-me kind of pickup. I don't know. We need help at the goddamn cornerback position, and I'm praying to God that we tackle that in the late first round at pick 29. But only time will tell. But truthfully speaking, this is almost where it needs to be. And this is why it's number 10, because they answered for the need at running back in the offseason. A+ right there. But our defense has quietly become one of the worser defenses in the league with these trends. We still have the means and the resources to get these areas filled, so I'm looking forward to the draft towards the end of April. But all things considered, we could have the best backfield in the goddamn country, but if we ain't got no defense, we ain't gonna be going too far. Number 9, we got the Pittsburgh Steelers. This was an organization I was fairly impressed to see the moves it made. They're doing a really good job of trying to create an identity for themselves this offseason. It's just we're still missing that final piece, if you know what I mean. Pickups like Michael Pittman Jr. complements DK Metcalf incredibly well. Michael Pittman on a bargain of a deal on top of that. Hell, I would have called Indianapolis and pretended to be Brett Veach if I knew that was the price. If I knew that was the price, y'all got Pittman fucked up, man. I'm going to tell you that right now. But the pickup of Pittman, I think he's a great alternative to DK Metcalf. He's tough across the middle, sure hands kind of receiver, come down with the ball anytime he wants to. So all things considered, this offense just got a lot more versatile in the pass game. Add in the pickup of Rico Dowdle coming out of Carolina. I think that he is personally a better running back than Kenneth Gainwell. I might get some pushback on that, but I think Rico has shown he's a bit more productive than Kenneth when he's producing. I know Rico kind of fell off at the end of last season. We ain't got to talk about that. I think Rico's a great pickup for the Steelers. Gives them a fresh face in that backfield, some fresh legs to rely on. What this is going to come down to is the Aaron Rodgers situation. Is he going to play? Is he not going to play? Who are you going to get if he doesn't? And the truth be told, I don't know. I don't know who they would get if Aaron Rodgers decided he didn't want to play for the Steelers again. I mean, I haven't seen anything saying he's going to, throw in the towel, that he's going to leave, whatnot, but I also haven't seen anything saying he's going to stay. Another big win for the Steelers, though, they did pick up Jamal Dean. That's a hell of a cornerback, elite kind of player, and I think that he will help elevate that defense even further than it has been already. It's just a matter of who's going to be at the helm. But Steelers, they got some weapons. I would say they could be a sleeper team coming out of the AFC, but I'm not going to say anybody else coming out the AFC, man, right? Number 8, we got the Buffalo Bills. And please hear me when I say this pains me deeply to put Buffalo above the Chiefs in just about any facet of football by any means. But they did answer for a few areas that were of major concern. I know everybody's thinking about the pickup with DJ Moore. I think that was a great addition. I do think he's a bit expensive for the Bills, but he's also a need for the Bills. Josh Allen been out there playing with chutes and ladders. He been playing with intramural receivers. So you finally give him a true wide receiver 1. I would love to see what DJ Moore's upside looks like in Buffalo, but that's not even the best move they made. Best moves they made were A, signing Bradley Chubb, who's an absolute freak of nature, and then not only that, but you keep Connor McGovern, which it's very hard in the NFL. I don't know if you know or not, but it is incredibly difficult to replace that center position in the NFL with quality talent. And you look at what they got now, I mean, that's a pretty stabilized front line. Josh doesn't have to do so many dances in the backfield now. Now, in the grand scheme of it all, do I think that these moves put them, further in the playoff contention picture? No, I don't. I think Josh Allen is personally cursed. But I do think if they're actually going to have a run at the playoffs, it might not be this year. It's probably going to be next year. If they do make some pretty impactful movements in the draft. And furthermore, in next year's free agency picture to see, what that looks like. But although I do put Buffalo above the Chiefs here, I still don't think it's their year. Number 7, we got the New England Patriots. And let me just say this. The Patriots are quietly becoming a force to be reckoned with. You sign Romeo Doubs Jr. Draymond Jones comes into the picture. You get Elijah Vera Tucker in the picture. Romeo Doubs, arguably, and I'll go on record to say this, looking at the free agency portal over the last few weeks, Romeo Doubs was my favorite receiver in there. You have high upside potential. This guy is a possession receiver by a margin. He gets plenty of targets, comes down with the ball very often. I mean, I'm talking like 90% of the time he's coming down with that rock. And he wasn't even going for much. Given he got a bag in New England, well-deserved bag, but he wasn't even going for much. But that's not all. You got Draymond Jones in the picture with his physicality up front. That's a game changer. You go ahead and bring in Elijah Vera Tucker. Add him to the offensive line to give this guy Drake May a little bit more protection. And what I can appreciate about the Patriots, they didn't come out the gate, firing off on all cylinders, jumping off on day one. This was throughout the first week for the majority. I'm pretty sure these were all moves in the first week, if I remember correctly. This was a very strategic map out of positions they wanted to target and how they did target them. They didn't necessarily break the bank. They didn't really force anything. Nothing felt like it was, a stretch for them. Everybody that they gathered feels like, this will be a good fit in this organization, and they're excited to bring that upside to it. My hot take with the Patriots is if they can hit on their draft picks, man, they might be the team to beat in the AFC next season. Number 6. Now, I'm going to get some backlash on this one. I already know that. But guys, remember, I'm putting this list together based off of organizational needs, how they attack the free agency, and how they filled for those needs throughout free agency. So ultimately, each team has its own needs and whatnot. Number 6, I got to give it to the New York Jets. I know, okay? I get it. This is still an organization that's going to go, sub 500 next year. And I hope for their sake they don't, but at the same time, I really couldn't care less. But look at what they did, though. You bring back Geno Smith. Geno Smith has obviously played in New York before, and he's come back and off of a pretty rough year, but you could argue that culture, that entire locker room just wasn't really a fit for him, because years in Seattle, he coming off, Pro Bowl years, and then that year with the Raiders, he comes up with the most interceptions this season. It's a marginal shift, and the Jets are definitely taking a bet on him, but I think with a bit of a homecoming for Geno, this could kind of, hone in on his, areas of opportunity and give him, the means to actually operate. That all comes down to how the Jets plan to prep and prepare, and we've seen how the Jets like to prep and prepare. So this can only go as far as they wanted to. Adding Minkah Fitzpatrick, I think, was a great addition for their need, but I think it was because it was the Jets. Because Minkah's kind of, he's not the same safety he was at one point. He's still an impact player, do not get me wrong. But I think that this was more of the selections that are available, what's the most feasible, what's going to be the most affordable. Minkah Fitzpatrick fits that bill well. He's a game changer. He just might not be the game changer on every single play, and that's a bit of what this defense could use. Now, speaking of defense, though, Demario Davis, I am very happy about them for that pickup. Demario Davis not only brings his talents to New York, but he brings that leadership with him. I mean, we're talking about a linebacker that is naturally a leader, naturally kind of the captain of the team in a position where this team needed it drastically bad. So, if anything, I feel like this will be a great sense of grounding this defense, all things considered. But I think in his own particular play, he'll definitely be a game changer for this organization when his number gets called. And the defensive front, stronger, deeper roster, more physical. You could even say more discipline, all things considered. What I like about what the Jets did this offseason, they didn't go for the big flashy names. They didn't go for the top of the picks that they could grab, because they already know not everybody wants to come play for the Jets, but they will for the right amount of money. I think they made very strategic moves. I think that a lot of these guys will fit into this mesh very well. Again, I don't think this will put them in the position to be, much more of a contender, but it does put them on the right path for years to come, which New York has quite the capital going into future seasons. Number 5. Now we get into the guys that really made some motion, really got some radars ticking and a few alerts blinking. Number 5, I got to give it to the Carolina Panthers, because my God, this may be the best defensive rebuild we've seen this offseason. We're talking about Jalen Phillips, Devin Lloyd. I mean, these are absolute playmakers. And truth be told to God, that is a defense that has impactful players at every level of it. First level, second, and third. And let me tell you, that is not what offenses like to see. I think the Panthers did an immaculate job retooling this defense, giving these guys some big playmakers, because we know that offense can win games, but defense wins championships. And Carolina was knocking on the door to playoffs last year, so who knows? Maybe this year they could go a step further, but that is going to come back to, lo and behold, how Bryce Young wants to play. My hot take is if Bryce Young could find a way to elevate his game, maybe 1 overall, 2 overall, look, I'm talking like it's Madden. If Bryce Young can bring his game not even to an elite level, but to proficient level, I would say even. If he could find that needle to thread it a little bit, Carolina's a double-digit win team next year. Mark my words. Number 4, I've got the Tennessee Titans because this team made some moves like they actually want to compete next year. It's no secret the Titans have not been competitive for a while. It's been since Derrick Henry left the building. They've just kind of been a team that's on the schedule that, you might get a cheap ticket for to take a date to or something like that. But even then, you might not get a second date because that game's going to be boring as hell. The Titans made incredible maneuvers across the defensive side of the ball. John Franklin Myers transforms that interior line, especially when he's right next to Jeffrey Simmons. Not to mention Jermaine Johnson getting out of there with the edge presence. That's a front 7 I don't want to see. I'm going to be so honest with you. From the guys they already have to the guys they've added, that is a front 7 I don't want to meet. Then you look at additions like Alontae Taylor, Cordell Flott. These guys themselves rebuild the secondary presence of this team. They make it actually a bit more formidable, if you will. So you look at all these different levels of the game. These guys had a massive defensive overhaul. I feel like I was getting alert after alert after alert about what Tennessee was up to. Offensively, they pick up Wan'Dale Robinson. What's that other guy's name? Daniel Bellinger. And truthfully, I think that they are better than the guys they have out there. Neither of them are really a true wide receiver 1. But I can tell this organization knows they're not finished because they went heavy defense in the free agency portal. And I think that come the NFL draft, that's when this team is going to tackle giving Cam Ward some more versatile options, some more weapons on the offensive side of the ball. But truthfully, I think that they showed in every way they believe in Cam Ward. They believe in what he can bring. They're trying to bring this guy a defense so that he can, they can keep these guys in the game when they are putting up points. So what I can respect about the Titans is they didn't just, spend money. They had a lot to spend. They didn't just spend it, blindly. They spent that money intentionally knowing that they already got the quarterback right. So I'm happy to see where this goes from here with the Titans. Number 3, I got the Los Angeles Rams. Go figure, right? I have the Rams at number 3. I didn't put them at 1 or 2 because they didn't really need to do a lot, but they definitely did attack the area of concern on that defense because offensively, they got everything they could want, everything they could need. Defensively, they're still a pretty commendable force to be lined up across from. They had one real weakness that continued to get exposed last year, and that was the cornerback position. What do? You go out and you find quarterbacks in free agency. Not to mention just any cornerback. You get 2 of the best cornerbacks in the league with Trent McDuffie and Jalen Watson. I'm torn the fact that we lost those guys. I know they're going to do great things out there. But, LA could paint on a billboard. We're maximizing this being Matt's last year. It wouldn't read any clearer than the goddamn moves they've made the offseason. They are betting on this being the year. They are putting all in on Matt Stafford, taking them all the way to the dance. So NFC, I would pay them some attention because that's going to be a force to be reckoned with, offensively and defensively. Number 2, and this one's going to be a bit ironic. I got the Las Vegas Raiders here. The Raiders have had, safe to say, an interesting offseason. If you guys have caught up with, everything with the Max Crosby thing. Baltimore, I'm going to be honest, Ravens, y'all are dirty as hell for that. I get it. I get why you did it. I understand how you did it and why you did it. From a business standpoint, it makes sense. But from a morale standpoint, it really paints a bad picture. I don't like y'all, man. Y'all kind of sleazy. But that even aside, from all the moves the Raiders have made in the offseason, because they traded off Max day 1, took that knowledge that they were, parting ways with Max Crosby and knew they needed to create some pressure off the line. And that is exactly what they did. From the offensive side of the ball, you got Tyler Linderbaum, who's going to be protecting your quarterback now, who we're all aspiring is going to be Fernando Mendoza. Then you switch to the defensive side of the ball, you pick up Kwity Paye, you pick up Nakobe Dean, Quay Walker, and Taron Johnson for veteran presence. That is, if I'm being genuinely honest with you, you put those guys next to Max Crosby, that's a defensive front 7 I don't want to see. And we got to play them twice. I don't know how that's going to look because I think they're going to get some significant pressure on our front line. To do all of that, the Raiders proved that After parting ways with Geno Smith, they're really looking at picking up this Mendoza kid, and they want to make the most of it when he gets there. I think the Raiders played this incredibly smart because they didn't even know they were going to get Max Crosby back, but look at that. They got him back, and they can still afford to keep him. Why even let him go at that point? You could have one of the most menacing defensive fronts in the league. Why not do it? So I think that's exactly the direction that Las Vegas is going to go. I don't know if, with a rookie quarterback and the weapons they do have a receiver, if it'll be enough. I think they'll probably try to get creative in the draft, but the Raiders are definitely trying to at least establish themselves in this AFC West. And they're letting us know that they're not going to be laying down too easy at all. Now, my number one pick out of all this is going to be the New York Giants. I chose the New York Giants at number one because I felt like they just had the most strategic free agency of every organization across the league. You added so much and you lost so little. It's honestly impressive what New York did up there. You had Tremaine Edwards, he alone strengthens the defense. You put Greg Newsome at cornerback, and he's proved he's got upside that's waiting to be tapped into. Then you bring Isaiah Likely into the picture from the Ravens, and he adds some dynamic ability to this offense that they did not have at the tight end position. So you look at the big picture offensively. You got Isaiah Likely at tight end, Jackson Dart, Cam Scatterbo, and you got Malik Neighbors still in the mix at your wide receiver one. That is an offense that has a lot of options with a lot of weaponry. I'm telling y'all, don't sleep on the Giants, man. They had a hell of an offseason. And the best part of it all, they did not lose much. They actually retained the most players out of any organization that actually had like some significant activity in free agency, which I think is incredible. I think that they've really built a team environment there where they do believe they can win. They saw spurts of some greatness last year. They saw them hang real tight, close with teams they shouldn't have kept close, tight with. I think New York could have a hell of a year. If they tackle the draft effectively, they get some additional pressure there in the secondary, some better guys off the edge. I think that New York could be the sleeper team of the league. All right, so that's my top 10, guys, but now it's your turn. Who do you think won free agency? Who do you think I ranked too high? Better yet, who is in your top 3 organizations as to how they maneuvered through free agency this year? Drop it in the comments down below. Let's keep the conversation going. And tell me, who do you think is going to crush the draft? Because we got a little bit over a month left. I'm pretty sure it's April 23rd. Don't quote me on that, but I'm counting down the days once I look back at my calendar. Look, I'm checking my watch. I ain't got a watch on, y'all. It's late. Bear with me, okay? But look, all I know is my Chiefs got 2 first-round picks for the first time in Patrick Mahomes' history. I just can't wait to see what we do. We need defensive pressure, and we need some goddamn help in the secondary. Beach, if you don't attack, I'm a spaz out. That's going to do it, guys. Thanks for tapping into another episode. Share this episode with a friend. Share your favorite episode with a friend. And until next time, it has been well.